comrades, and welcome back to the Soviet vlog. Today, I would like to answer another question. Meditating Jesus asked, how do you feel now that capitalism has ruined the motherland? This is a really good question, so let's talk about it. Was it really the capitalism that did this horrible job of destroying Soviet Union and now it's destroying Ukraine? I honestly can't really tell what would be my motherland because I was born and raised in Soviet Union, but I actually was living in Ukraine. But did capitalism did all that damage to former Soviet republics like Russia or Ukraine? Because at the same time we can look at North Korea and South Korea and see what the socialism did to the Northern Korea and what the capitalism did to the Southern Korea. Anyone can name any single Northern Korean brand that's popular in the world. In the same time, we got Samsung, we got LG, which used to be Gold Star, we got Hyundai, we got Kia. I mean, there's a Korean brands that powerful and popular all over the world, and we got two Koreas. We can look what socialism did to Cuba. We could see, and this is a really good example, I think, what socialism and capitalism did to China. Only after Communist Party of China, and I guess they learned their lesson looking what happened to the Soviet Union, when they basically canceled the socialism program and allowed private enterprise in China, which is, we talked about before, socialism and when government owns the means of production. This is the meaning of socialism. So there is no socialism in China anymore for years. And now China is number 2 economy in the world. It's maybe number 1. I'm thinking it's probably some numbers being fudged to make sure that the United States still claims to be number 1. But it all happened after Chinese government changed the strategy and allowed private enterprise. And now look what is going on with China, how it's changed in the last 20 years. But let's talk about the Soviet Union and Ukraine. People who signed the document about dissolving Soviet Union, which was Yeltsin from Russia, Kravchuk from Ukraine, and I forgot the last name of the person from Belarus. All three were communists. They were lifelong members of Communist Party of Soviet Union. So wasn't capitalism signing the dissolution of Soviet Union? There were Soviet communists who made that decision. Now, if we look at the case of Ukraine, well, Ukraine and Russia, they took the same path, pretty much. The only difference I see is that Russia had natural resources, so that's what made their economy be in a somewhat better condition. Ukraine pretty much didn't have any natural resources they can sell in the world market, so that's why situation is way more dire in Ukraine. So what happened to Ukraine, to my motherland, after capitalism was introduced, is the government, which pretty much every member of Ukrainian government was a former communist. They pushed this bogus privatization, which I'm planning to make videos later about, and all the main industries were privatized pretty much for peanuts, kopecks for rubles or cents for dollar, by their buddies, their relatives, their friends. So government allowed privatization, like pretty much it was a giant giveaway by former communists of the former state-owned enterprises. So anything which had value changed hands, and now we got super rich oligarchs in Ukraine, just like in Russia, that people are mega rich, and then we have the rest of the population is pretty much broke. There's basically no middle class in former Soviet Union right now. And I'll be interested to find out if any of my viewers live in the Baltic states like Litva, Latvia, or Estonia. I'm curious how the things are going over there, because there's really no news from Baltic states, but it's pretty much similar story. They were forced into socialist camp, in the late 30s, and they were first to get out of Soviet Union because they accepted their not accepted, but they signed off the independence declarations from the Soviet Union while Gorbachev was still at power. So I'll be curious to find out how the capitalism doing in those countries. But in case of Ukraine and Soviet and Russia, I'm thinking about like in New Zealand and its dodo birds. So Soviet industries were doing fine, well, while like there were dodo birds on the island that had no natural predators. So Zhiguli factory was producing same model with barely any changes for 20 years, 30 years, same tractors. I mean, if you look at the Soviet industry and the records that we're so proud of, there's like this model of truck, like I think there's one called Gaz 51. Like it's the most produced truck in the world, like the amount of trucks and how long they were making the same truck with barely any changes. And like we were proud of it, but it just tells you dodo birds didn't need to change because they had no competition, and as long as they had a pretty decent model and they tweaked it a little bit, they were making it for years. Same with the Antonov airplanes, AN-2. They produced that cool looking biplane. I really like that airplane also for so many years. Another record, but it's not because it was such an amazing airplane. It just was doing its job, and there was no better airplanes to compete with. So all the Soviet industries, all these factories, once the market opened up and the foreign companies competition came in, they had no chance. So it shows you that socialist industry is not competitive, because otherwise, if the socialist economy is more advanced than regular capitalistic relation economy, then it'll be opposite way. They'll be like Chinese companies doing right now to the world. Soviet companies will go out there and destroy the competition because they were more lean, more productive, and they didn't go after profit. They were actually had a long-term planned economy type of style, but it didn't happen, right? So it just tells you that planned economy, it just doesn't work. It's not competing well with the profit-driven economies. So I don't think that the capitalism ruined my motherland. It's the people who are former communists. It just tells you how badly the system was rotten. It's pretty much no one wanted to live that way anymore, including the government officials. Everyone just got tired of pretending of trying to move towards communism. And we had that stagnation under Brezhnev for so long that the bottom and the middle and the top, everyone was so tired of one thing's being said on TV and in newspapers, and then you go to the store and you see different things, and then party officials create special stores for themselves so they have them stocked nicely, but the regular person were allowed to go there. So this whole thing was just so wrong that in the end, when we started changing, it's all collapsed at once. So this is my answer to the meditating Jesus, that I don't think that capitalism ruined my motherland. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and my next video coming up is about hobbies that Soviet people had. And as always, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания, goodbye.
And if you love my channel and would like to show your support, please click on the link below this video and become the patron of the Ushanka Show. For as little as $1, you can help us grow and create the new, interesting videos about the life in Soviet Union.